What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have been dying to get my hands on one of these new Lowrider STs. I finally got to see one during Daytona Bike Week. Harley Davidson had their truck there, had one on display. They also had one down in Road Atlanta a week ago when I was there. However, this is the first time I'm actually getting to put my hands on one. It almost didn't happen. If you are looking to buy a Lowrider ST, you know exactly what I mean. All of the ones that I think Timms Harley Davidson is going to get are pre-sold, at least for now anyway, and I think it's about the same for every other dealership. I don't think you're going to walk into your local dealership and see one on the floor that isn't already sold. Fortunately for me, my friends Colored Bill and Michelle, who bought this bike, left it here today specifically so I could do this video. Guys, I cannot thank you enough. I am such a fan of this Lowrider ST that I am strongly considering buying one of these for myself. Let me know down in the comments. That would be a big purchase. The channel definitely does not make enough to support buying a Lowrider ST quite yet, so I'll definitely need your thumbs up. I'll need you to subscribe, and I'll need you to watch every single video if we buy one. But until then, we're going to review this one. Let's jump into it. All right, so I'll give you guys a walk around of the Lowrider ST in all of its glory. I was a fan of the Lowrider S, don't get me wrong, but this thing, honestly, for me, is on a whole nother level, especially at the price point. You guys know I have been very critical of Harley Davidson pricing on certain models. This one I do not understand. This one has an MSRP of right around $22,000, and I just don't get it. Like, this is such a good value for everything that you're getting, and I'll show you when we jump into it. I just had to show you a walk around because I know a lot of people have yet to be able to see this thing. So I'm trying to give you guys a good walk around as if you were here looking at it yourself. Man, that fairing is so good looking. I couldn't tell from the photos when those spy photos leaked if I was going to like this fairing or not. This is a Harley fairing that a lot of time and energy went into the design of, and I'll show you that when we jump into the review right now. The way we always do things around here, we start on the tank graphic. Not a whole lot to be said. If you're not familiar, this year Harley changed this dash on their Lowrider. This is the ST. On their Lowrider S, you're going to get the same dash. You know, before you used to have your two gauges here. Actually, we'll take 1 second and I'll show you. So this is your Lowrider S. As you can see, the dash, just like on the ST model, your gauge is now up here, just making it more visible, and they have combined. So you have the analog tachometer, and then all the rest of your stuff will be digital. But enough about this thing. Let's go back over here to this one. So you'll see a little bit different setup on this model, and I'm assuming Harley has done that because of this fairing. Throw my leg over this bike, we'll stand this thing up. You're gonna see, sorry Bill, the gauge is a little bit dirty. I meant to wipe everything down, I guess I missed that. But you're gonna see that this is the same setup that the Street Bob is running. So your top clamp houses all your digital stuff. I really like that because I think as long as you get an extended cable, you can run whatever size bars you want to on this bike and still use this setup here, which I'm a fan of. It's small, but it gives you all the information you need and really keeps the rest of this handlebar area clean. Now, while we're back here, I want to show you guys kind of this inner fairing. So you'll see, like what I call on the Road Glide, the nostrils here, these vents. That helps a lot for the styling, but it also pulls in a lot of wind when you're riding, and it doesn't hit you. It kind of wraps around the bike, which is exactly what you want to help keep things cool. Now, like I was saying with this inner fairing, this is a very nice fit and finish inner fairing. Now, I know a lot of guys have been putting, like, say, the FLXRST style fairings on their bikes, and you can get the inside finished on those models. The problem is it costs a lot of money to do that, and it doesn't look the greatest. So if you ever look at a bike with the FLXRST style fairing, go look behind it. The majority of them are just going to be that fiberglass shell, which does look good until you come around to the back of the bike. Now, I also want to point out this section, this line that goes around here. So I'll throw it up on the screen right now. Harley Davidson sells in the parts and accessories catalog these Rockford Fosgate speakers that plug in super easy. Then you have audio on this bike. Yes, they are $1,000. I get that's not cheap, but it's plug and play. It's designed to fit in there, and look how clean that setup looks on this Lowrider ST. If I was to get this ST model, I would absolutely get those speakers, no questions asked. So you'll notice on these risers that they have what we call a pullback to them, which means they just pull back a little bit more to the rider as opposed to, I don't know how we got this lucky and had a Lowrider S, which, speaking of, if you guys want a Versus series, although I know we've already started doing comparisons, let me know and I'll try to do one on these two bikes. Versus the risers that come on the Lowrider S, which are straight. Now, it just doesn't feel right to talk about anything else on the bike before we also point out that starting this year, the Lowrider S and Lowrider ST models have the Milwaukee 8 117 on them. Now, in my opinion, that was something that needed to happen because before that, the Lowrider S had the 114 cubic inch Milwaukee 8, but so did a lot of other models, which made me question what makes that Lowrider S and S model. Now they've bumped up that displacement, and to me, that puts it back in that S category. Now, real quick, because I know some people are like me and they're going to be interested in this type of stuff. It's not for everybody. I wanted to show you guys how this fairing is mounted. So that's a pretty standard bracket for mounting, like, say, the aftermarket fairings on the front of this bike. But what Harley's done, this is almost like the Road Glides. It's really hard to show on camera. I apologize, guys. You have this lower bracket here as well, holding up and supporting the bottom part of this fairing, which I think looks really good and also adds a lot of structural integrity to this bike. I also want to point out these clear little vents here, which for one, I think looks good on the bike, but two, you would be surprised how much these little bitty wind deflectors actually do redirect the wind and keep it off of you. We won't spend a whole lot of time to things that aren't specific to the ST model. However, we will point out inverted front end, dual disc front brakes. Walk around to this side, kind of let you see. So these saddlebags are what you call clamshell saddlebags. What that means is they open from the top here. So they literally open up like a clamshell. Harley has put these little nets in here to keep all your stuff from falling out. You can fit a good amount of stuff in here. Now, as you'll see from this sticker, Harley says do not put more than 15 pounds in each saddlebag. I may or may not have put a good bit more of that in a Sport Glide, which is what these saddlebags come from. I didn't have any issues. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you that I've done it. So one of the things people did not like about these saddlebags, you'll notice that the one on the left side hangs down significantly more. So obviously you have the exhaust there, so the right side needed to be higher. Now, their option was to do it that way or make the left side a smaller saddlebag to accommodate or make the left side smaller so that it would match the right. Now, although you know I am big on symmetry, especially when it comes to motorcycles, I like this move from Harley. I like that extra space on these clamshell bags. They're not massive to begin with. I'll take all the extra space I can get, and I've seen it argued that most people are going to run a 2-into-1 pipe. Although that is usually true, Harley, for whatever reason, opted not to do it, so their exhaust doesn't clear. And then after talking to the guys here at Timms, they said Bill, who bought this bike, is also not going to run a 2-into-1 system just because then it will amplify the gap in that saddlebag and the exhaust. And I gotta say, I probably agree with that. I'm a big, big fan of the 2-into-1. However, cosmetically, that's going to be a good move to leave that same style exhaust to make up for that saddlebag. For those wondering, the saddlebags can be removed. Harley Davidson makes it very easy just to turn that little latch and pop these things off. Gives this bike a very different look. However, as someone who's not the biggest fan of clamshell bags, I have to say I do like the look with that fairing, with the bags. To me, it makes the front end look a little heavier when you just have that fairing and no bags. That's it for this one, guys. I gotta say, this may be the first time in history that Harley Davidson has produced a bike where there's literally not one single thing that I want to nitpick. Now, it could be said that Harley could have given you a 2-up seat and passenger pegs. However, that would have driven up the price of the bike. Both of those things are very subjective on style, comfort, etc. So I'm glad that Harley didn't put them, not to drive the price up. Same thing with the Rockford Fosgate audio system that goes in that fairing. They could have included it, but $1,000 to buy it, it would have added $1,000 to the price. I'm glad Harley didn't, because not everybody's gonna want that. Let me know what you guys think about this Lowrider ST. Would you get one? I'm strongly considering it. I don't know that it'll be 2022, maybe 2023. I do not expect any changes for the 2023 model. I just think these bikes are gonna be really, really hard to get, and they're gonna go for well over MSRP. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Like the video, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll catch you in the next one.